Bitcoin pulling back today. We're currently at about 101,000. If this level breaks, we could potentially be looking at 95,000, which is basically the breakdown target of a head and shoulders pattern I've talked about the other day. And then potentially the next breakdown target, which is the breakdown target of this huge rising wedge pattern I've been talking about at about 80,000. That would not look pretty for a lot of these altcoins because Bitcoin is still the driver of this crypto market. If it continues dumping, that is going to tank a lot of these altcoins. So you want to be rooting for Bitcoin, and this is why I talk about Bitcoin. First things first, in the morning, I do not look at anything else other than Bitcoin first before trading any altcoins. Now, Bitcoin is at at a support level here, at a major support level. And I talked about this, how the support level may not be a very good support level because Bitcoin has tapped the weekly 50 SMA, which is basically the support that we're at right now. This is the third time. When you keep hitting a support, it gets weaker, and that's why I don't expect this to be a very strong support level. I hope I am wrong, right? If this support level does not hold, we could potentially be going down to about 95,000, which is the breakdown target of this head and shoulders pattern that I've talked about on the daily time frame. We got this one, the shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, a potential retest to about 106,000 is possible, right? It's not uncommon to see a breakout or a breakdown, and then the price action comes back up to retest the support or resistance. I will potentially be looking at a short position for Bitcoin at this level, potentially. Okay, depending on the confirmation that I'm seeing on the smaller time frame, right? And it's going to be a very short. It's going to be a short position with a very short stop. If the reasoning behind that is because if we actually break back above this daily, this head and shoulders pattern resistance at about 106,000, right? Then with the candle close, okay, I'm looking for a daily candle close. Then that means we have invalidated that head and shoulders breakdown. Okay, I think this is the highest time frame that this head and shoulders pattern is validated, and yes, that is the highest time frame, the daily time frame that I'm seeing here. So if we actually get a daily candle close above 106,000 ish, then we could potentially be invalidating that breakdown, and that's why I'm looking for a hedge there because I'm creating a win-win scenario for myself, right? Because I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here. And if my short gets liquidated from that hedge, the increase in value of my long positions will overcompensate for the loss of that short position. It's going to be a very short stop. Now, that is just basically what I'm doing personally. It is not financial advice. You guys got to figure out your own strategies and opinions. Everyone's situation is different, right? So that's basically what I'm looking at. We're going to be taking a look into a few altcoin setups, which includes Type AI, which is a smaller altcoin, a request by one of my viewers. If you guys have any requests, drop in the comment section below. Drop a like, subscribe as well, and I'll pick a request to you for you guys on a daily basis. We're also going to be taking a look into Mina protocol as well as AI16Z. See what's happening in these coins. What are their current trading setups since this Bitcoin pullback? Has their trading patterns and price targets changed recently? Right? A lot of these altcoins have been tanking. However, with exceptions of a few AI coins, right? So let's see if these coins have been how have they been affected by this pullback. We're also going to be taking a look into some news first before diving deeper into the charts. So let's go ahead and take a look into the news. Okay. I also want to point out that we are still in a falling wedge pattern on this daily time frame. It's going to look a lot better for Bitcoin if it actually can break out of 106,000, right? That could potentially be the upward trend line of this falling wedge pattern. That's also why I'm looking at 106,000. That could also mean that this could be a short breakdown instead of going all the way down to 95K, 80,000. Okay, if we actually break out of this head and shoulders and potentially falling wedge pattern. Well, I mean, this is a falling wedge pattern, so price target out of this falling wedge pattern is going to be about 128,000. That's going to be very good for the altcoins. However, falling wedges, even though they're bullish patterns, they still have a smaller chance of breaking to the downside. We are in uncertain times right now, but I am still long in the longer term, right? We are still in uncertain times right now. You gotta consider the downside as well, because if this thing breaks down, that's not gonna look pretty. So very important to be paying attention to Bitcoin right now. Let's go ahead and go to some news, okay? This is by ZY Crypto. Fundstrat's Tom Lee backs Bitcoin price to 200,000 still by the end of the year. That is crazy. That is crazy. Even I kind of doubt that right now by the end of the year, because we don't have that much more time left, right? What do you guys think? I mean, are we gonna bounce like crazy from here, or do you think there's gonna be more downside? But it's still good to hear other bulls' opinions, to echo your own opinions, because I think that's what we need right now. Next is, of course, I want to add that you gotta form your own opinions first before hearing others' opinions. I think that's more important, because you don't want to just base your decisions on someone else's opinions. You want to form your own opinions first. That's what I'm personally doing, and then I will listen to what others have to say that echoes my opinions. Of course, I also listen to the other side as well and see if they still make sense, right? I still listen to bears and see if their argument makes sense, and that will give myself a reality check. Next one is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin's valuation metrics hints at a possible bottom forming. Analysis. Let's take a look into this. Okay. Key takeaways. Bitcoin's MVRV. So I have no idea about that. Okay, dropping to. So I'm not going to say anything too much about this because I have no idea about what MVRV is. If you guys want to read more into this, you guys can. It is in TradingView. If you guys don't have TradingView, you guys are trading blind. I highly recommend that you guys get TradingView that I've been using for the last 5+ years of trading. I have a affiliate link in the video description section below. I will earn a commission if you guys sign up using my link. They also have free plans available. Next one is by The Block. JP Morgan sees Bitcoin price reaching about 170,000 within the next 6 to 12 months. Now, I am very bullish on Bitcoin going into next year. This year, I thought we were going to be more bullish than this, but we still got 2 more months left. So I can't be, I mean, I've seen Bitcoin do some pretty crazy stuff, okay, in a very short period of time. So I'm not going to make any quick judgment yet, okay? Especially during downtimes, because I've seen Bitcoin do some pretty crazy things. And one of my main arguments is still that the Fed has started its Fed rate cut cycle. And looking at today, we are looking at a probability of an ease, of a 25 basis point ease, of about 70% for the December meeting, which has changed from yesterday. Now, very important to be keeping track of the CME Watch tool, because that gives you a good idea of the Fed rate cut decisions that could be coming up. Of course, these probabilities change. All right, next is going to be by You Today. Black Friday comes early as Sailor says Bitcoin is on sale. Again, very, very good to be listening to other bulls' opinions once you have formed your own opinions, because you can see who is still buying and who is not. Let's take a look into the next one, which is by ZY Crypto. PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel says Bitcoin upside is limited following BlackRock and government interest. And why is that? Now, you have to read more about this on ZY Crypto because ZY Crypto tends to not give too many details on TradingView. All right, now, of course, this is more of a bearish tone for Bitcoin, right? Not as bullish as Michael Saylor, that's for sure. But if you guys want to read more about this, you guys can. It's on ZY Crypto. All right, let's come over here to the charts for some of these altcoins here. We're going to be taking a look into AI16Z and what is going on with AI16Z here. It tried to break out of this huge falling wedge pattern. Okay, I'm gonna say, yeah, this falling wedge pattern is still valid because the price action is technically still above the upper trend line it broke out from. Okay, price target is still about over $1.70 out of this breakout here back in February. Now, AI16Z has formed a longer falling wedge pattern since the breakout of that one. Price target is gonna be about over 55 cents for this breakout here, which it happened last week. However, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. In the case of altcoins, they depend a lot on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts dumping from here, a lot of these altcoins setups, they're not going to be worth very much. Yeah, there's going to be a few exceptions, but I wouldn't bet on it. Okay. Now, let's see if this breakout can actually continue, okay, because it is retesting that upper trend line of AI16Z, that pattern there, okay, at about 4 cents, right? Let's take a look into a smaller time frame. Also want to mention that on the weekly time frame, you're going to have your weekly 21 SMA, your resistance above you. That's going to be at about almost 12 cents, the blue line here. Let's take a look into the daily time frame here. Okay, potential double bottom pattern with bullish divergence. Okay. Now this double bottom pattern, if it plays out, price target would be about almost 15 cents. The resistance of this double bottom pattern would be about 10 cents. Double bottoms are bullish patterns that usually break to the upside, but you have to consider the downside risk as well because they still have a smaller chance of breaking down, as with a lot of these technical analysis patterns. Falling wedge pattern on the 4-hour time frame. Price target, if it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about 7.25 cents price target. So let's see if AI16Z can hit some of these price targets. Let's go ahead and go to Mina. Weekly time frame for Mina. Falling wedge pattern. Falling wedges are 3-day time frame. No, I was right at the first time. Weekly time frame. Okay, weekly time frame. Falling wedge pattern. If this breaks to the upside here, which it has a higher chance of doing, let's just say by this point, for example. But you could almost time a move out of this pattern here because this pattern actually tightens to an end. If it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about $1.55 Mina. Okay. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame. Potential cup and handle pattern scenario here, with the resistance to be about 19.5 cents. That is basically where your daily 200 SMA is at right now, the orange line. Okay, potential cup and handle pattern. It's not completely formed yet. Look for another test back up to 19.5 cents to finish this cup and handle pattern. Cup and handle patterns are also bullish patterns that usually break to the upside. Okay, however, we're all just talking about probabilities here. Okay, nothing is 100%. There is no certainty in this market. Always have to consider the downside as well. Let's go ahead and take a look into Type AI. Okay, this is a request by one of my viewers, and this is a smaller altcoin. What do I think about smaller altcoins right now? I think it's a lot riskier to get into smaller altcoins. It is not the first thing I would probably be long in, right? I would want to open long positions in right now, right? Of course, I have longs in quite a bit of altcoins already, right? That's my situation. So I'm speaking from my situation. So I am not looking to add more long positions with smaller altcoins right now. Okay, not the first choice, at least, right? Not unless Bitcoin gets some type of a bottoming signal, or a more straightforward trend arises. But right now, I'm looking to either hedge with short positions with Bitcoin or a long position in Bitcoin. Right, those are going to be my first things. Also depends on my financial status at the time, right? If I have a lot of dry powder or not. But it's not my first priority right now to add more smaller altcoins as long positions. Not saying I absolutely would not, because if I do have the money, if I do have enough dry powder, I would during right times. But this is going to be riskier, right? And this is a falling wedge pattern. Okay, this is the 3-day time frame. Falling wedge pattern. If it breaks out by this point, for example, price target for type AI is going to be about 0.000. I think that's 3 zeros, 4 zeros, and 65. 4 zeros. No, that's 3 zeros. 0.00065. That's the price target. Now, within the bigger falling wedge pattern, there's a smaller falling wedge pattern, and this falling wedge pattern is valuable because it tightens to almost an end. So you can almost time a move, right? Price target out of the smaller falling wedge pattern is going to be about 0.000195 if it breaks out by this point, for example. Now, this basically wraps up for this video. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of AI16Z, Mina, or Type AI. And I'll pick a request, and I'll continue bringing you guys updates on these coins. Or if you guys want to see any other coins in this market, also drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. And I'll see you on the next one.